rented out in Holiday Island. There's a lot of parts. There are a lot of non-resident people that have property here, and the way they can do that is renting them out. And all this is doing is trying to make that business more visible to people. And I think that's one of the best advantages of the A&B tax.
All right, so thank you very much. Okay, back there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Hall, can you explain the pros and cons of the proposed A&B tax as you see it?
Well, I'm the chairman of the A&P Commission, so I can probably answer this. We have a lot of tourism here. It goes back in history. If you look back for every magazine 20 years ago, most of the ads were short-term rentals. It was a tourist town. People came here. I think people came here on vacation, not Holiday Island inside of the state. A lot. And we've heard it in meetings over and over again that they came here. Here's the problem that we have here. You all pay AOBs. Tourists come here. They don't contribute anything to your goods. They don't contribute anything to your infrastructure. They don't contribute anything to this. This doesn't go for infrastructure. So you ask, what do you do with it? You get tourists here. You bring a few more. You continue to keep that there. Home values continue to increase. People want to move here. The dynamics change at this point. Retirement is not the same thing it used to be. COVID changed a lot of that. So people are changing that. They're working at home. They're looking for somewhere out here to go and relax and work from home. Bringing people here is a good thing. Later on, they might want to live here. Some of those people got here. There's a second part of this that exists later on. And it's something that most people don't like to talk about is taxes. You know how you lower AOB taxes? You find some other way to get it. At AOB takes people here, all the people that live here, pay into the system, while the tourists come here and pay nothing. Sometime we need to start taxing the tourists for that infrastructure that they use, the roads they drive on. And at some point, you have to replace an AOB with maybe a sales tax. We don't have industry here. We don't have Walmart. We don't have a business district in that sense. We don't have an industry like Tyson. What we do have, though, is tourism. People stay for a weekend, going to Eureka, even if they don't stay here the whole weekend. They're still staying here overnight and spending that money. Something we're going to do is find that tax basis. This is how you increase that. Where it doesn't take homeowners money to supply for infrastructure. We're going to have it at some point. There is a link to that. And that's something that we can work on. We can do. This will improve that part. We have an infrastructure problem. And we have an AOB problem. And we have two systems here that aren't working together. We need to work on that.
Thank you, sir. The next question will start with Mr. Holland. What are your thoughts on the current trash contract?
Trash contract. This is something done before I got here. A lot of it was done before I got here. Trash contract was one of those. Mr. Mills put that contract together. And from what I hear, most of the public wasn't very happy about it. We have an exclusive contract. Everybody has to use it. What we don't get is we don't really get any benefit for using it.
Exactly.
Eureka, they have an exclusive contract. Berryville, they have an exclusive contract. What they are getting, though, is money back from that program. They pay in, they get a franchise fee for it. We did an exclusive contract here for nothing. We didn't get any benefit for that. We got no money for it. We gave one company the access to the whole city, and we didn't retain anything for ourselves. There's a problem with that. especially if we want to get rid of AOBs, if we want to lower the AOBs. At some point, we have to make money. Wasn't a good thing. As far as cleaning up the trash, something needs to be done about that. Part of that is enforcement. We have an enforcement problem. We have a big enforcement problem. You can't write laws, you can't write rules if you don't have enforcement. It's a tough one to do. But if you can't enforce it, you don't write it. If you can enforce it and you can manage it, you write it because it makes it better. But to continue writing things and not having the revenue to do it, it's not right.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mills, what are your thoughts on the current trash contract?
I think the current trash contract is very good. Okay, it has solved a lot. Back when I was on the BOC, we had a lot of problems with illegal dumping. We tried to do something about it, and again, we couldn't. The other problem with the multiple providers we had for trash pickup, we're driving huge trucks all over the county, all over the town, and tearing up the roads. We talked to them, and they said, we'll do what we want to do, and we couldn't do anything about it. We now have a single user. I'd say we have probably 95% of the people that are using that service, and I don't think you're having a lot of problems with it. Anyway, I don't think there's been a lot of feedback on it. When I switched from the private user to Carroll County Waste, my bill went down about $10 a month, I think. And so I don't see a problem with the current contract.
Thank you, sir.
Also, there was something else injected here that in code enforcement, that is an item that we're working very hard. And it's not a simple matter. We have a district courts agreement set up with Eureka. We have a prosecuting attorney, and if people don't follow the rules of the ordinance, they will be prosecuted.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mills, we'll start the next question with you. Holiday Island seems to lack a desire or support for innovative change. We find ourselves increasingly limited. What will you do to prevent the stagnation we see?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay, I'll repeat it. This was submitted by the audience. Holiday Island seems to lack the desire or support for innovative change. We find ourselves change. We find ourselves increasingly limited. What will you do to prevent the stagnation we see?
Well, I'm not aware that we're stagnating. I think we're moving forward. When we incorporated, we were faced with the developer giving up, moving off, and all these services that came with that. We had to set up a new planning commission, zoning. We did that. We have a building inspector, and I mean, I don't see where we're stagnating. I think we're moving forward. The only problem we've had is, we were criticized for not having forward planning. We've been trying to work out some agreements with the district in where we can move forward and the city take over some of the operations, and that is part of reducing. We're not reducing the AOB. We're trying to reduce the assessment. It's not the EOB. That I read. Mayor has put forth a plan for $800,000 road program to repave a lot of roads and make, that takes a lot of, that takes a burden off the district. In 2022, we paid $650,000 worth of roads. And it's just not, it hasn't. I just don't understand why somebody thinks we're not subject, we're not changing. I think we're making progress. That's what we worked very hard the last 4 years on the board.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Holland.
There's either moving forward or you go backwards.
Yeah.
There's no stagnating. You can't stay still. In 4 years, they have $1 million sitting in the bank. Anybody like the roads here? It's a bumpy ride. ISA hasn't paid the road in 3 years. What's happened for 6% of the roads got paid? City did 6%. This project that they're talking about, I don't believe has been approved yet. It's in the plan. They have a plan for that. It might be another 6%. Still only 12%. It didn't lower payments that everybody did. We need a better plan. If we do 6% every 3 years, it's a long time to get around everything. Nobody thinks the benefit of that. I believe it is towards a part of stagnant or decline. We have strip malls that don't have a single business in them. You've had pharmacies here, gone. You've had doctors here, gone. Tell me where the growth is. How many restaurants have closed here? A lot of them. We had one closed recently. Another business in the strip mall closed in the last couple of weeks. That's right. That's not growth. That's losing business. Those people run the business here. They live here. They're losing somewhere. It's going backwards. We need a better plan on economic development. We don't have one. We talk about an economic development group. It's never been made. Never met. How do you deal with that? You have to start doing something. It's had 4 years to do it. It's not done.
We'll start with you on this round. What are your plans in Heising?
Well, that's a big question.
Can we hear the question again?
What was
The
it?
question was,
What are your plans to end Heising?
wow, that's a good question. We haven't even found a way to reduce the payment to HISA to get to that direction. I don't know how you plan for closing up HISA when the talks aren't going. We've all heard the conversation. They'll even asked for a joint meeting to happen between them. It hadn't happened. No meetings happened between these organizations. VOC has asked for it. Ken Brown is here for it. I've heard him ask in meetings, asking for a joint meeting. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because all we're doing is kicking the can down the road. And we need to change that. Luckily, Ken Mills has been on board with that. He's been trying to get it done. He's asked numerous times in a meeting. And it needs to happen. If they can't plan, they can't talk, nothing's going to happen. There does need to be a plan for a sunset on the ice. And there should have been one when we incorporated. Incorporation, I like the idea of incorporation, the idea of how they got incorporation. That's the degree. I hear it all the time because I'm on the A&P commission as the chair, that the members there said they would never pass any new taxes. I can tell you, out of 600 cities in Arkansas, a little over 600, there's not a single city of the second class that does not have a property tax, a sales tax, or a franchise fee. That's the three main mechanisms if you want to make money. We don't have any of the three. How do you run a city with no money? In 4 years, you take a little bit of the turn back funds you get, and you throw it in the bank and say, look what we did. We had $1 million. It's $1 million in 4 years. It's not a lot of money. ISIS spends $4.5 million. How do you change that? There has to be a lot of planning, but there does need to be a sunset date on it. We need to figure that out sooner than later. Stop sitting on the play.
Thank you. Mr. Mills.
Well, we've been working at this first year or two. I don't think we really pushed it because I don't think any of you have ever started a city from scratch. It doesn't, snap your fingers and it happens. It takes a lot of work and a lot of planning. And that's what we did for 2 years. The last 2 years we have been pushing the district to have some joint meetings so that we can get some planning. I myself don't really ever see how we could totally get rid of High State. I think you're going to have to come back to the amenities, the water, maybe even the water. The rest of it, the city could take over. But we can't make the district give us that property or that business. We have to have it. It has to be by consent. We cannot take it away from them. And there has been some movement lately where they had talked about coming up with a joint meeting, but it hasn't happened. And again, I'm a single councilman. I can't make that happen. But it's going to happen. It has to happen. It's part of our long-range plan. And that was the means that we were going to reduce the assessment and prolong the AOP so that we could come up with a better means of financing what remained with the district. It has to be a cooperative environment. We can't do it alone. So I don't know how you're going to force it on.
No, we don't need to do that. All right, Mr. Mills, this round will begin with you. This is a little bit of a lengthy question. In light of your experience on the High State Board of Commissioners, what is your assessment of current water and road infrastructure and how you influence that progress, as well as how you envision the city's influence on the ultimate resolution of those issues?
Well, I think the roads are worse than they've been for a long time. I don't think there's been any real paving projects. I think they did a little paving a couple of years ago. But the biggest paving that's happened in the last 4 years is what the city did through the grant from the state Arkansas RDOT. They have a program with 8 cities, and they gave us $300,000 grant with 350 with it. And that is why the main thrust of our trying to get cooperative dealing with the district has been on the road department, so that we can probably take that over and have more funds available and actually do some meaningful paving. When I was on board, we decided we were going to do more chip and seal. We went to asphalt only, but that went by the wayside. And as far as the water, they've been working on the problem of leaks for back when I was on board, and we hired people, we had engineers look at it, and it's repetitive things like most of the leaks are the service lines from the main to the meters, and I've been talking to some of the plumbers, and they say those things have a life expectancy of 20 years. So I mean, it's and I don't know where this question is really going. But that is what I would see from the city's plan, is to take over the road department and try to bring the roads up to a better standard.
All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Hall, if I can repeat the question, if you like. All right. This question was directed to Mr. Mills. The question was, in light of your experience on the HISIC Board of Commissioners, what is your assessment of the current water and road infrastructure and how Mr. Mills influenced that progress, as well as how you envision the city's influence on the ultimate resolution of those issues?
Well, unfortunately, I can't mention anything about Mills when I said I wasn't here at the time. So we'll talk about the roads that are there. You would think that people that were on the BOC before, it sure would be easy to talk to the BOC once you're in the city to do something. You can't get the meeting to happen. They can't have the conversation. How do you plan for those things? You can't. And you can't fix the roads. You can't fix the water. The water is a major problem. In 3 years' time, it's gotten worse. The reports were just out. And somewhere there has to be some plan to that. If HISIC cannot continue to do those, maybe it's the city's responsibility to go ask for some of those things. It seems like both parties are waiting for somebody to come forward and ask for something to give something. Sometimes you just have to really get in there and ask. HISIC board members are here. They've talked about it. They've talked about it in a recent meeting about looking at giving some things over. I think they get stopped in the part of what they're going to give over because the other side isn't talking. We need to stop that. I've talked with a lot of BOC. I've talked with a lot of city council members. We live in the same town. We should be able to pick up the phone and call one. Start the conversation. How do you do that? What do we need to do? We have a lot of social clubs that are there. We can't talk about roads and water and get anything done. We can't get a meeting set up. It goes back to that part of the enforcement. We spend 12 hours a week. That's how much we have a code enforcement person. If we only spend 12 hours on it this week, maybe a month, maybe 3 months. These meetings may be going the same way. Somebody's waiting on a phone call. We need to have more of those meetings, more of that planning, more of hearing what the public wants to do, and start coming up with a better solution. 3 years is a long time to never pave a road. Let the city do it. They did 6%. Nobody's stuff lower. We need to look at that option. The city has had a budget cut on a lot of things. Maybe we can look at some of those things. Fire department, water, roads. There's a conversation that can happen, and it hasn't happened.
questions. We'll start with Mr. Holland. Mr. Holland, what is your plan to ignite change and growth for Holiday Island?
Well, I've already talked about a little bit of it. It takes planning, not running to put out a fire every time. We need 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year plans. Everybody else has them. Businesses have them. That's how you operate. And you may deviate from that a little bit and change it as you go along and things change. That's fine. But you have to come up with a plan. If everybody's talking about these different parts being done by one of the entities, we need to see a plan of that happening. If one is going to pave a road, we need to know that's going to happen. It's not just waiting for it to happen all of a sudden. We've seen a lot of it happen. Things aren't maintained like they're supposed to be. They wait for it to break. They wait until it's too late. It costs more money. It costs more time. Let's do some preventative maintenance for it. And I think planning is the number one thing that needs to be done. You waited 4 years, no plan. You haven't got anywhere. We need some planning real quick.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mills.
I guess we made a mistake. We should have put in a whole bunch of tax, in fact, so that we had a lot of money and we could have an economic development plan and all such things. Yes, we did start this endeavor, and we told people we weren't going to issue any taxes on it. If we hadn't done that, we probably would have not been able to incorporate. Because there was a lot of pushback, because that was the main thing that everybody said. If you incorporate, you're going to put taxes on us. And we haven't done that. We've been building the city for 4 years. We have not cost anybody a nickel. Now, you're blaming us for things that the district hasn't done. That's not our fault. Again, until we can get to some agreement where we take over some entity and become responsible for it, how can you hold us accountable for not planning? I don't know how you can plan something that you can't do. Very easy. I mean, it has to be a cooperative endeavor, and that's what we're trying to get. You always have a contingency. And I would appreciate all the effort and support that we can get to make that happen. It's got to happen. That's why we went through incorporation, because we wanted to make Holiday Island a better community, and we couldn't do it under the current environment where you had to sit. The city was set up to develop a community. It wasn't set up to do a long-range community.
So you're a powerless corporate entity.
All right.
Anyway, we are, as soon as we can get this joint meeting together and develop a way forward and get a plan, we will be doing that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mills, the next round of questions will start with you. And again, these are questions submitted from the audience. As we are facing a sizable budget shortfall, how would each of you drive additional revenue?
The city doesn't have a short budget.
That's not a question. The city is not forecasting budget.
All right, let's stick to the candidates. These are questions again submitted from the audience. If you'd like to eliminate the first part of that and just answer the second part, how would each of you drive additional revenue for the city of Holly Island?
We have the option of instituting a property tax. We have made a statement, I think everybody can agree with that we're not going to do that unless that can be offset with the reduction of the assessment from the district, which has to be, means that we have to take over some of the business functions of the district. Or we could subsidize them, but I will not vote for putting a property tax on our citizens unless we can get a corresponding reduction in the assessment.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Holliday. Sure. The original question, was, as we are facing a sizable budget shortfall, how would each of you drive additional revenue? And if you like, and you want to only answer the second part of that question regarding additional revenue, then you can do that.
So I don't think there's a budget shortfall in the city. This question is more towards the Heights, I think, the deficit budget. And there's not much to comment from me, at least on that right now. The Heights deal, they have a deficit, they're working on that. As far as the city, they have a budget, they have a handout, they're waiting for money to come. They don't create anything. And we're going to have to create something at some point. And property tax for me is off the table. So far, all the odds have been made from AOBs, and that comes from all the property owners. We need to find a way to get the outside money coming in. It doesn't cost the homeowner 100% of what has to be done around here. And that direction is towards the sales tax. That part, even in my restaurant, 65 to 70% of the traffic in there is tourism. People driving through it, not residents. So the amount of tax that I would collect would be from tourists, people that aren't here. That money can go back into roads and infrastructure and those types of things. We don't keep on having to look at just the local people here. We have almost 100 plus short-term rentals. Short-term rentals don't stay there if they don't have customers. People are coming all the time. The projected part for that, $5.5 million is what's been there for people to come here and stay in short-term rentals. Holiday Island. We need to find a way to leverage that part, take care of the things that are here. Heights does have a deficit. They have it. They've been working on fixing it. I hope they fix it. The outcome of that probably isn't great. We need to start coming up with a plan of how to deal with that. A plan to help out that part of that deficit and take over some of the things that a city would normally operate. Fire department, that'd be a great start. In the state law, the fire department is the city's obligation. We're getting around that right now with having an interlocal. That's the bypass in the obligation. By having some other entity do it. We need to talk with Heights. They just got the budget from it. We need to figure that one out.
Thank you, sir. This will be our last question. And this round we'll start with Mr. Holland. What do each of you see as the top 3 challenges, as our top 3 challenges as a community? And what are your plans to address each of these 3 challenges?
I think the number one thing on everybody's mind is infrastructure. All around it. Doesn't matter what it is. Water, roads. It's a big part of here. And there's a big problem going on. We need to have some meetings. We need to figure out what that is. We need to figure out a solution to fix it. Don't keep waiting for it. We need time. You heard it's 4 years. They haven't met. They haven't come up with a plan. They need to do some planning. I thought we would have planned that before we even did incorporation. We didn't have a plan. We just wouldn't collect taxes. We wouldn't collect money to use back for the citizens here. wait 4 years down the road, I don't think that we're necessarily any better than the first day we incorporated. We've done some things, but it's not outstanding. People are waiting. They're waiting for something to happen. And we didn't do that. It hasn't happened yet.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mills?
I must have slept for 4 years. We worked very diligently. Like I told you, when we first incorporated, the developer dissolved, left, and left us with a real mess. And there was no organization to regulate anything that happened with the property. We went in, we set up a planning commission. We said we did a zoning, rezoned the whole district. We put in enforceable codes, and so and I agree that the big problem is moving forward and getting some direction in consolidating the two entities. And until that can happen, I don't see how we can make any other progress, because the city has no property. Exactly. We don't own anything except a pickup truck. So, we're being held responsible for no advancement on something that we can't do until we get some kind of cooperation with the district. And I think we're on the cusp of doing that, because there has been some dialogue on that lately. And that is the number one priority for the city.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the candidates. I'd like to thank the candidates and those in the audience that provided the questions. Thank you all for coming out, and I would encourage everybody to go ahead and ask your vote for selection. Candidates will be available for a few minutes afterwards, and this concludes our forum.